Okay, we are live now. So welcome everyone to this new panel. We are going to be talking about addressable TV for pay TV operators, and we have 1 hour ahead of us. So feel free to come in and ask questions in the chat box. So that's on the live discussion on the bottom right of the Swapcard platform. And just for your information also, the session will be recorded, so you can find the catch-up on our website, Dataxis.com, if you want to share it later or just have a look again at what we will discuss now. So we will talk about innovations on ad products and how they are driving new actors in the advertising space. So especially we've seen in the last few years that major telco operators have been moving towards the new business segment that advertising is offering them. And we will see with our speakers that addressable TV requires strong technical capabilities, which more and more operators have decided to invest in so that they can offer targeting capabilities and advanced ad products on their set-top box ecosystem to partnering broadcasters and content providers. So we will discuss with our speakers the current deployment in the region in Europe, and I am very happy to welcome 5 speakers today. So we have Albert-Jan Teb, who just joined us from Liberty Global. He's the Director of Advanced Advertising. Then we have Dan Cohen, the Director of Product and Advertising Innovation UK and Europe for Sky. The Vice President of Advertising, Advanced Advertising, for Discovery Networks International, David Fisher. And we also have Emmanuel Godard, who is the Digital Marketing and Innovation Director at Canal+ in France. And we also have with us a speaker from our sponsor, Zatu, for this session, Oliver Knapman, who's the Chief Sales Officer. And Zatu is an OTT platform operating on several European markets, but also a B2B solution provider for actors such as operators when it comes to advanced advertising. So I will start this session first with a large question on why are you as telco operators entering advertising markets? So what are the reasons behind this strategic move, and also how are advertisers responding to you entering this market? I would like to start with Dan, who's working for Sky, who was one of the first players in Europe to offer addressable TV. So please go ahead.
Thanks, Ophélie. Look, with Sky, we've been in this market for a while now. We're in a relatively unique position that we are a broadcaster, platform and advertising sales house. So we can really do the end-to-end with the customers. And I think that there's a real opportunity that we've built this relationship through the funnel to be able to speak with people and engage them in all these different ways. In terms of the telco market in general, ultimately, I think what people are looking to do is diversify their revenue stream. So Sky's unique in that it's got the platform subscription revenues, it's got advertising revenues. We're also in the mobile and the broadband business. We've recently launched into the business broadband area as well, and are opening up retail markets now that retail is starting to reopen. And I think that the advantage this has given us is that, you know, when you have times where one of those markets might be in a bit of trouble, obviously the last year's been tricky for everybody, we've been able to maintain a level of ongoing income and ongoing kind of profit through the business. In terms of advertising specifically, I think our deep customer relationship through the platform and the content means that we can engage our customers and offer up a better return on investment for the advertisers and for the agencies. And I think our knowledge of our customers really helps to kind of deepen that relationship and just be really advantageous for the advertiser.
Okay, thank you very much, Dan. Albert, same questions. What triggered this strategic move for Liberty Global, and why are you entering the advertising market as an operator? You're mute, sorry.
Yeah, simply said, it's a revenue opportunity. What we are seeing in the market is that linear advertising revenues are declining since a couple of years. And addressability is the key solution to generate new incremental revenue, like online advertising. I think television advertising has the challenge to get on par in terms of addressability capabilities. So targeting capabilities is possible in the online advertising world. And addressable advertising helps to make that possible. So if we facilitate that as Liberty Global to broadcasters, we help them to generate an incremental revenue, which is also an opportunity for us, obviously.
Thank you. Emmanuel, same question, but maybe a different focus, since Canal+ is working as both a broadcaster and an operator. I'll let you explain a little bit more of your strategy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ophélie. Yes, you're right. In fact, Canal+, we are not only a pay TV operator, but we are also a broadcaster with free TV channels and with an internal advertising sales house that sells advertising space for our own free channels, but also for other channels like Discovery, for instance, in France. So we've always been, by nature, I would say, in the advertising market for our free TV channels. The fact that we are a pay TV operator also brings a lot of value to our advertising sales house proposition. As a TV operator, and I think we will discuss about it later, but we collect tons of data regarding our customers' profiles and also regarding their TV consumption, whatever the channel. And in the car industry, for instance, we matched our set-top box log data with third-party data to identify ad breaks that over-index the most against car purchase intenders, for instance, and then to fine-tune the TV plan of our advertisers. And by matching our data, our log data with the CRM data of car manufacturer, we could also measure the TV effectiveness of their campaign by comparing the purchase behavior of people that have been exposed versus non-exposed to the campaign, thanks to our log data. So when it comes specifically to addressable TV, we first entered this market as a broadcaster, so dealing with a telco operator, so we can propose addressable campaigns on our channels. But we are now very seriously considering entering this market also as a pay TV operator, and so to offer the opportunity for other broadcasters to address targeted campaigns to our customers' base. And the reason for that is that in France, Canal+ has a very high penetration. We cover approximately 15% of households with a set-top box. And this is a very large audience that interests a lot broadcasters, all the more that it is a very premium audience. So we actually see a real opportunity for us to enter this market, not only as a broadcaster, but also as a pay TV operator.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Go ahead.
May I ask the main reason to Emmanuel? What the main reason is for you guys to join?
Okay, so the main reason, so two reasons. First of all, to offer the opportunity for our own free channels to address our audience through our set-top box, and also because it's a way to diversify revenue for the TV operator, because it's actually a demand that we have from other broadcasters. So behind that, these demands, it's true that there is a revenue opportunities for the operator.
Yeah. Are you already live with as an operator in France?
No, that's a very good question. We are very seriously considering that, and if we have a go, and I think we will have a go, we aim at being live next year.
Okay, nice.
Okay, so we've seen for operators, it's more about diversifying the revenue streams. Maybe now with David, we can see like, why are you interested in pay TV addressable solutions with operators from a broadcaster's point of view?
So I think one thing that hasn't been said is that we're very interested in delivering ads that are more relevant to our users and our viewers, because we want to keep those viewers on our channels. And so anything that makes the overall experience, including the ads, more relevant is better for us. In terms of working with a pay TV operator, that gives us an opportunity to deliver scale fairly quickly. There's always data in that environment. But I think that, the way that we see it is that, Europe is a very diverse area. And so we have markets where working with a pay TV operator is the way to go. When I think about our relationship with Sky in the UK, Sky offers critical mass data, frame for frame ad replacement. And they are the linear addressable player in the UK, but they also do our ad sales. So, that's a real meeting of, opportunity, technology, and a way for that proposition to be taken to market. That isn't necessarily how we'd play it elsewhere, because in other markets, we'll be operating at scale ourselves. If I look at a market like Poland, we have huge market share in Poland. We do all the ad sales ourselves. And so actually our operator relationships are a little bit different there. But yeah, I think, more relevant ads, I think we are hoping that, addressable TV future-proofs revenue diversification, future-proofs us against, capabilities of the tech giants in terms of those custom audiences that Emmanuel was talking about, in terms of custom audiences for advertisers. Yeah, and I think that, where we work with the pay TV operators, it's a complicated relationship, but I think, the data and the opportunity makes it worthwhile. And, I think it's, I'm probably putting words into Dan's mouth or into, any other operator's mouth, but that ability to deliver frame for frame addressable ads in an environment is a huge technical lift that the operators, are best placed to deliver. But it's not the only game in town. There are other ways to deliver addressable.
Yeah, of course. So I was coming to that. For example, Z2 is operating on the digital market, so not really the traditional pay TV access, but only OTT. Can you tell us maybe what you see also on the opportunities for digital advertising on linear and video on demand?
So first of all, I think we are the one who are providing two different kind of the business type. So we have an OTT business. So and therefore we have a long experience, more than 10 years now, that we are serving advertisement on our free offering. And this also was a huge data that is related to our users that we could also provide to all the advertisers to make advertisement relevant. And during the last 5 years, we have also recognized that there is a market for addressable TV also for pay TV operators too, but not in the case to help the operator itself. So it's more or less the idea of helping broadcasters, because in the end we are all delivering a service that is where the broadcaster is needed with this offering, with this content, and therefore seeing that all the traditional TV advertisement is struggling around Europe. So from my point of view, this is the main reason why we have started to also help the broadcasters to replace advertisement within their linear stream, and to give them the opportunity to, together with user data, to build a new advertisement product. We are now seeing that this product really has, or the relevance of that product is growing in the European market. So we are delivering this in 3 markets, in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland right now for, I think it's now 9 broadcasters that we are still working with together. So Discovery Group is also one of the partners that we are doing replacing advertisement in Germany. So therefore, yeah, it's a really successful story, and our main goal is to help them, the broadcasters, to refinance their tremendous invest in content.
Thank you. So both of you, David and Oliver, you mentioned the relationship between operators and broadcasters, which is the core of addressable TV on pay TV solutions. And David, you mentioned that it was a complicated relation. I would like to have the opinion of the operators on this topic. So starting with Sky, maybe. How is the relationship between you and the broadcasters that you partner with on Sky AdSmart shaped?
So it's complicated for a number of reasons. David talked about it's not just a carriage deal on the platform, it's an advertising sales house deal, etc., etc. I think when it comes to addressable advertising, everyone's got the same goal, which is to diversify the revenue stream and to kind of try and halt the kind of decline in linear ad revenues that are coming through. The complexity, in my view, comes from, in terms of working with partners, comes with data sharing. So as Emmanuel mentioned, through our set-top box, we have very, very deep knowledge of customer behavior. And when you match that with third-party data, whether it's advertiser owned or purchased third-party data, you can get that real in-depth view of it. One of the complications, I think, is around data sharing between different platforms and between broadcasters, advertisers, and platforms. Because if you can have a open, honest relationship and a pragmatic view on data sharing, you can get to that extra level of granularity, which we know that advertisers want and that they need, because it ensures that their campaigns can be better targeted, more focused, and ultimately have a better return on investment. Understandably, there's nervousness around sharing of data, but there are ways around that, right? You either have an open, honest, pragmatic relationship with very clear understanding of what's going on. You can use safe harbors to kind of ensure that anonymity exists as well. Obviously, sometimes some of those have more positives than others and may open up different products to advertisers and to broadcasters, depending on how much data can be shared and how much flexibility there is in the advertising proposition.
Thank you, Dan. Albert, maybe you want to react on that, because Virgin Media has been working with Sky now for several years on the AdSmart proposition. And there you have an even more complicated relationship, because you have several operators together with a multitude of broadcasters also on the platform. What were the challenges in terms of data sets, but also like security of first-party data and so on?
Yeah, it's, well, like Dan said, it's the relationship is complicated. Then again, I think addressable advertising is a really good opportunity to strengthen the relationship between operators and broadcasters, simply because you're forced to work together. The whole operation of delivering an addressable ad is very complex. There's lots of technical integrations necessary and sharing of data. The technology is not so mature as online advertising, and even with online advertising, lots of things go wrong every day. And this is the same with addressable advertising on traditional TV broadcast, and that basically forces you to work together. Then again, I think the way we struck the relationship with Sky also aligned our goals. Basically, we are on the same page as in terms of trying to generate as much revenue as possible to make it work better every day, basically. So for example, like Dan said, with the sharing of data, I think we have a baseline with third-party data, which is being matched through a safe harbor, like Dan mentioned. But we're also using specific targeting capabilities, which are shared with us in an anonymous way. So it's basically called, for example, it might be called Sky 1, 2, 3, 4. So only Sky Media knows what it is. So they can use it for targeting purposes. We don't know what it is. We don't need to know, because as an operator, we only facilitate the addressable technology, so to say. And in other markets, it's even more complicated, as we are working together with our own broadcaster. For example, in Belgium, where SBS Belgium is delivering addressable ads on the Telenet platform, as well as the competitor of SBS, DPG Media, which is the biggest commercial broadcaster in Belgium. And also the other way around, SBS Belgium is delivering on the Proximus platform, which is the national telco company of Belgium. And obviously DPG Media does the same, and a bunch of other broadcasters. So it basically shows a complicated picture, but then again, it shows the need for an ecosystem with a level playing field where everyone can play its role, and maybe some companies can profit from their own data, so to say. The example Emmanuel gave with onboarding first-party data of advertisers is pretty new to the market, I would say. It's pretty common in online advertising, but not so much for addressable advertising, as far as I'm aware. And I think that's a good it's a good development, because the good thing about first-party advertising data is that it's GDPR compliant. It's gathered with the content of the consent of customers, hopefully, I would say, because also advertisers have a responsibility of storing the right data. But if customers, if people are customers of that advertiser, you could justify it to use that for campaigns, obviously. And I think so far so good in the UK market, and we launched last year in the Irish market as well. First on the Sky platform, so which is basically the other way around as we are having in the UK market, where we are the operator for Sky Media, and in Ireland it's the other way around. And this year we're focusing on launching both Sky and VMTV, VMTV, so our own broadcaster, on our own platform in Ireland too.
Okay, thank you. So we'll come back to the regional deployments a little bit later with the other speakers. David, maybe you want to react as a broadcaster on this like difficult or complicated relationship, since you're working with both Sky and Liberty Global in the UK, for example.
I mean, let's be honest. One of the reasons it's complicated is because it's hugely technically difficult, and the other reason it's complicated is because no one wants to do anything without taking a cut, so, there is a relationship to be negotiated at all levels, and, I think if, I'm sure there's a utopian version where we all create addressable advertising to as many viewers as possible, across as many platforms as possible, because it's the best thing for the broadcasters. But in truth, I think we have some complex operator relationships where, this gets complicated by carriage deals and other commercial conversations we're having. I think the other thing is there are two types of relationships we had here. So when I think about the relationship we have with Sky are doing our ad sales. And so that's a different technical relationship, because we don't need to share any of our linear ad sales system data. We don't have to integrate any of that stuff. In an environment, in another market where we are doing ad sales ourselves, but there's an important operator, we have to work out where our systems integrate with that operator's systems in order that we can continue to do clash management, deliver those ads against data, and furthermore, connect it to other inventory sources that are also addressable on our side. And so that could be other operator inventory sources, that could be addressable inventory sources from digital, it could be addressable inventory sources from HPPTV, it could be addressable inventory sources from smart TVs. So when I look at the complexity of our addressable arrangements in the US, where we're delivering addressable TV into smart TV environments like Vizio and wherever Roku ends up, we've got to connect that to operator inventory and to HPP inventory over time. And I think that one thing that I would hope that we could get to is markets that are complex and diverse in terms of TV distribution. Some of those operator conversations will be more complicated because we're picking up a lot of cost on the broadcaster side because of the way that we're having to deliver addressable TV across multiple environments, and then work out how we mediate across those environments. Some are ad served, some are set-top box. And so it's not a one size fits all by any means. So I think there's complexity in technical, complexity in commercial. And for us, there is just a huge amount of new technical broadcast complexity in terms of how we connect this world.
David, so I would, yeah, Emmanuel, if you want to react on that.
Yes, in fact, fully agree with David. Above all, it's a huge technical challenge, maybe all the more in France, where we have 4 telco operators, and maybe also, unlike other markets, in France, it is the operator that manages the ad substitution, but the ad decisioning and the sale is in the end of the broadcaster and the advertising sales house. So, which means a real technical challenge. In fact, very concretely, the operator's role is to collect the user's consent, to create the segments based on the data that they collect, to preload the ad to be inserted into the device memory, and manage the substitution following the instruction given by the broadcaster. And as you mentioned, as we are on TV, everything has to be extremely tightly controlled, so it's fully seamless for the TV viewers. And that's very important because operators and broadcasters won't tolerate any bugs or latency, as it sometimes occurs in digital, but it's just impossible on TV. And so on the other end, the broadcaster, of course, has to insert markers in their broadcast streams, and they have to make the decision of which spot has to be replaced by each spot. And so all this requires that the operators ad server dialogues in real time with the broadcasters ad server, and each of them having their own specificities. So you can imagine with 4 operators, maybe tomorrow with Canal+, and all the different broadcasters, all the technical challenge that happens behind the scene. And on top of that, of course, there are commercial agreements that are taking also a lot of times, because we are covering very new fields for operators and broadcasters. And for instance, in France, operators and broadcasters have been working on it for almost 2 years now, because it has just been launched. In fact, we had our first addressable campaign only few months ago, and there are still work going on. But as you were saying, in fact, it's our common interest at the end to collaborate if we want Addressable TV to be a success. And as far as I'm concerned, I can say that Addressable TV is maybe the most collaborative project I have ever seen on TV. But it's not a silver bullet, it's true.
Yeah, that's also what we've seen with that. Also, what Albert was saying, like pushing for more collaboration among broadcasters and operators. Oliver, do you want to react on that, since you're working with both broadcasters and operators?
So I have a question also to Emmanuel. So are you doing this on a client side, the ad insertion, or is it just on the service side? How much?
Sorry, could you just repeat the question?
The replacement, the dynamic ad insertion or substitution, is this done server side, either in the back end, or is this done in the client, so that every single client replaces an ad?
No, it is done directly by the operator. It is done by the operator, but the instruction, in fact, our ad server at the advertising sales house side, in fact, provide the instruction to the operator ad servers of inside the ad break which spot has to be replaced by which spot.
Yeah, Emmanuel, what Oliver means is that whether the ads are being stored on the set-top box before, or
Yes.
that they are being served directly
No,
real time
sorry,
from the ad
sorry,
server?
I misunderstood. Thank you, Albert, for that. No, it is stored previously. So it's not real. It's not actually real time. It has to be stored previously.
Okay, so yeah, but this is the same way that we are also doing our dynamic ad substitution technology right now. So, and we have this now in place for more than 4.5 years. We have built that up or developed this together with Pro7sat1. I think it's 5 years ago now, and so we are serving more than 100 million ad requests a quarter. And this for now more than 4 years, so we have a lot of experience in that area. And yeah, this is really something what we can see, that not only our broadcasting partners are really happy that we are providing that as a service or such a solution, but we are also seeing that the advertiser itself and also the user get a better experience if the targeted ads did more or less covers their expectations. And we also see that there are the new advertisers are coming into that game, advertisers that wasn't able to fulfill from a revenue perspective, from the budget, the things that traditional TV advertisement has afforded. So therefore, this is really something where the market in Germany, Switzerland, and also in Austria, what we could see, especially changing or replacing video advertisement on connected TV, is something that the market is really requesting for.
But what's interesting about that, Oliver, is that it's not happening on actual linear TV to any great scale in any of those markets. So the only market that we're seeing any real linear addressable TV scale is the UK. And the thing that Sky did and Dan will talk to this, but they made sure that the TAM, the measurement body, measured addressable ads from day one of launching AdSmart. And every single thing that we talk about on this panel is undermined or threatened if we can't deliver total audience measurement of addressable impacts into the overnight ratings onto linear TV. And I find it absolutely amazing that really we only have one market in the world that is doing that.
Yeah, so
yeah,
thanks a lot.
It's being done in Belgium, by the way, David.
Is it in Belgium?
Not in the same scale as in the UK.
But it's not in the overnight ratings, is it? In the TAM.
Well, it should. There is a correction mechanism.
Okay, but it's because my understanding there was that there's obviously the data alliance, but it's not in the TAM.
I think that
I guess sorry to interrupt. I guess the impact is rather small, so that it's not materialized in the ratings.
Yeah.
That might be the case.
Could be.
I think the point you make, David, is really, really important. That bit is absolutely key, and actually has probably held us back from scaling in other territories, because getting that that marker, that measurement, getting the local measurement provider on board, it can be really tough, right? There's a lot of complexity in the relationships between broadcasters and how all that kind of stuff works. We worked really hard in the UK to get that to work. I know that from a couple of different angles in the UK market, and we've found a way of doing that in Ireland as well, albeit in a slightly different guise. But it's absolutely something that will hold back addressability in linear across the board. And we're quite lucky that we've got addressability in linear, OTT, and wherever else. But clearly, at the moment, the bulk of advertising revenue is still in linear. So if we're able to solve that across the board and find a unique way, or a way of measuring that which is almost standard across the industry, you can really see how this can explode. And I think one of the complications at the moment is that addressability is given or is treated in different ways by different countries, or by different broadcasters, or by different platforms. And actually, if you're able to find a uniform way of measuring and even talking about it, the opportunity and the trust that will provide to advertisers will explode.
Yeah, I still find it, I'm flabbergasted by how many broadcasters are still playing with just messing about with overlaying promos because there's no audience measurement. You know, this will never grow without scaled audience measurement. And I think that this is where agencies, broadcasters, operators all need to work together, because, you know, and actually, hopefully, a panel, you know, in this at this conference should be the measurement bodies or the contractors, and it should be, why on earth can you not deliver this?
Duly noted for the next edition. Okay, so I wanted to jump on what Dan was talking about like scaling up on European markets. So maybe you can tell us a little bit on what are the current deployments for Sky outside of the UK, and how, like, what kind of challenges do you encounter when it comes to scaling up a solution as a regional operator throughout all your territories?
Yeah, no problem at all. So obviously, as David mentioned, the UK is at scale, with, you know, a very large proportion of our customer base kind of having access to, or advertisers having access to those through addressable TV. We're live in Ireland as well. Interestingly, the measurement piece that David talks about means our solution in Italy perhaps isn't as evolved as it should be, and we're not live at all in Germany or Austria at the moment. One of the complications of doing that is that it's just really expensive to build that technology and to make it work across the board. And actually, when AdSmart developed in the UK, we weren't part, Sky wasn't the group that it is now, so we weren't able to deploy that technology evenly across the group as we go. We are across all forms of addressability, and actually across all forms of advertising, whether it's you know, TV, OTT, digital, whatever it might be, going through a program of convergence to get the same tech stacks across the board, so we have the same capability everywhere, and therefore we can deploy quickly, more efficiently, the same customer opportunity, the same advertiser opportunity across the board, which doesn't just open up revenue opportunities in those countries, but also opens up revenue opportunities at a European level. We're also doing lots of work, as you might imagine, with Comcast and with NBCU to actually therefore also be able to align as much as possible there to be able to offer global opportunities to advertisers as well. But it's about getting that tech stack working and ensuring that the way it works fits with local regulation and fits with local data protection laws or whatever it might be, because they do differ greatly across Europe and across the world. So the absolute same solution won't always work. But as I say, we are working on going forward, delivering single solutions across territory.
Thank you. Albert, maybe you want to add something, as Liberty Global is also operating on various markets in the European region, 6 in total. Maybe you already mentioned it, but maybe to give us a better overview of the specific challenges you have on this topic.
Yeah, I guess the most outstanding challenge is that each market is different. You know, like Dan was already mentioning, that data protection regulation differs across territories, but also the business rules or the way ads are being delivered or managed differ across each country. So deploying a single blueprint solution across all territories, like you would expect, as it is pretty common with, for example, online advertising, is not possible, unfortunately. So there are always customizations necessary, not the least for correcting the national TAM, so the national broadcast advertising measurement, which also differs across territories, because the technology being used is slightly different, which leads to slightly different customizations necessary, etc. So I guess that's the biggest challenge, I think. And obviously the dynamics differ per country. In a way, you could say that the UK was easy because Sky already pioneered in the market, and they basically offered well, I wouldn't say to profit from that, but to cooperate, which led to, I think, a very smooth and successful start in the market. In a lot of other markets, it's just pioneering, starting things up. So you need to You need to convince advertisers, for example, which is usually the task of the broadcaster, obviously, but also that takes time.
Okay, maybe Emmanuel, you want to react also on the challenges that you see in terms of standardization and having a uniformized solution developed across France, but then maybe also across Europe later on.
Yes, of course, we have standardization challenges in France because we have so many operators, of course. So the first thing is that in France, operators have all work on common specifications regarding, first of all, how markers should be inserted in the broadcast stream, so that let's say facilitated a bit all the work of broadcasters. Also, there were a lot of questions and worries from the advertisers to be able to address the same data segment, whatever the operator. So for an advertiser, it's not possible to imagine that a segment is not built the same way from an operator to another. And so they agreed for at least the high demanded data segment to build them exactly the same way. So they will build exactly the same way high income household, they will build exactly the same way light TV viewers, for instance. And actually this was something critical, and it took some time, but operator eventually understood that this uniformization was key if once again we want to make addressable TV a success among advertisers. Addressable TV is maybe a bit complex for us, but advertisers do not have to feel that.
Thank you. Oliver, maybe you can also give us some insight from a B2B solution provider, also operating on several markets across the European region. What are the challenges you see in having a uniformized ecosystem on addressable TV?
I think most of the challenges are still mentioned. So SCTE markers, as an example, is something that's really crucial. If we as a platform, and we are on our platform, are running not only our own DTC system, or the direct-to-consumer business, but also other partners with a white label or streaming solution. So therefore, the SCTE marker to get this in the same way with the same frame accurate marker is something that all broadcasters in the end it would our lives make much more easier if we will receive the same marker. And our standard that we are using is now the SCTE 35 marker. It's a Scotty marker that is mostly used in the US. And that would be helpful if we have a standardization of that signal. On the other hand, I think there are so many things to also to standardize, as Emmanuel mentioned, what kind of data is then brought up to a target group together, and also the question about measurements also mentioned beforehand. Who the non-external measurement like GfK or Nielsen with Comscore data or SDKs integrated. So there are many things to discover and to develop, and I think on that to come to standardization, that might be a long journey for all of us. But we have to in the end we have to go that path.
Yeah, I will invite the audience to send questions before the end of the panel, because we still have 15 minutes and we'd be happy to reply. Moving forward, I had a question on programmatic. So programmatic is something that's been going forward a lot in the advertising industry, do you think that the TV landscape is ready for full programmatic on linear ad insertion? And what are your views on that? So maybe if Dan wants to start, or yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem at all. So look, obviously programmatic's been around in the digital space for a long time, but it's still a tiny proportion of the TV market, and like a really tiny proportion. But we think it's gonna grow rapidly over the next few years. It will still end up being quite a small proportion, but in terms of the where it is now, it will grow probably 2, 3, 4-fold in the next 3 or 4 years. We do have a programmatic addressable TV offering in market, which we're kind of slow launching is probably the thing to say. And we see it, interestingly, we see it as complementary to linear, to the kind of direct buy that traditionally happens, because, you know, as much as it offers you the kind of flexibility of, you know, self-management, or maybe later booking deadlines or whatever it might be, you're not getting that managed service. You're not getting the kind of additional support that a traditional sales house or a traditional broadcaster can give you. And I think there's a lot of concern, or not a lot of concern, but a lot of thought in the market that perhaps it will start to take away from the direct buy, but we absolutely see it as complementary and therefore providing incremental revenue. But I think it's fair to say, as you said, it is small. But I think we need to be playing in that market to ensure that as it grows, as we have done through various, you know, whether it was Sky Plus or first people to launch AdSmart, whatever it was, that we are an established player as it grows, and that we can help push that market forward.
Oliver, maybe if you want to react also, as you've been selling a lot of programmatic ads on your OTT platform.
Yes, so but I think that is more or less a reason why, because we are really a small player. I think we are the smallest player and also provider in that round that is here on that panel. And therefore, our obligation then was to just start more or less a programmatic approach for selling all our inventory. But this is not our inventory. So most of us, if we are replacing traditional video ads in an ad break, then to be honest, this reach belongs to the broadcaster, and therefore we are doing this in behalf of the broadcaster. And this also comes with a lot of complexity in the case of quality of ads, quality of advertisers. And therefore, even if we are now more or less selling more than 60% of all our of all that inventory that is available, it's not the available video inventory is sold programmatic in all 3 countries. But as I mentioned, this comes with complexity on quality and on blacklists and on rules that we have to apply to all the broadcasting partners that has allowed us to replace their video spots in the ad break. But it's a way where you can scale. So in the end, programmatic helps scaling, and we are successfully replacing that and selling more and more with the same amount of salespeople and also with operational people, and therefore it helps for scaling.
Yeah, so a good solution for smaller players. Emmanuel, maybe can you talk about programmatic opportunities from a net sales point of view?
Yes. In fact, what's a bit funny in France is that linear TV programmatic and addressable TV has appeared approximately at the same time. And so we see among our clients a lot of confusions between addressable TV and programmatic TV, which are absolutely not the same thing, but we are seeing a lot of confusion around that. So once again, in France, we are at the very beginning of addressable TV. So right now, it can't be purchased on programmatic. And as you were saying, Oliver, we might have on programmatic quality issues, which is not acceptable at all on television. However, I think that advertisers that are new TV entrants might accelerate a lot the adoption of programmatic for addressable TV, because as a matter of fact, we expect a lot of new TV entrants to drive revenue on addressable TV. And so all these new TV entrants, now they are doing digital. For most of them, they are buying digital using programmatic. And I really think that if we want to make them move quickly to TV, then it will be critical for us to offer them the ability to buy on addressable TV in the same way as they are buying on digital.
Thank you. Another topic that I wanted to talk about briefly, since we still have a few minutes, addressability goes beyond simple linear broadcast, and operators are also have a hand on catch-up services, OTT services, which are delivered on their set-top box environment. Do you think that there are opportunities for addressable advertising on third parties' OTT services, like apps that might be integrated in your set-top box environment? I would start with Albert. Do you see business opportunities on this segment?
That's a very good question. So currently, all the OTT apps on the set-top box are basically closed environments. So basically, if people enter the Sky app or the Discovery app, for example, or the Canal Plus app, it's basically their own environment. Basically, you leave you could say that you leave the set-top box environment and you go to the OTT environment of the broadcaster. And everything within that OTT environment is basically managed by the broadcaster themselves. So short answer would be, I don't expect to have a huge role if we would have a role at all.
Okay, and David, maybe you want to react, as Discovery was mentioned. You have an app, you have an OTT player. Do you have similar agreements with operators?
Well, I think as Albert says, that they're closed environments, so there isn't that data transfer to allow us to use operator data to make those ads in those environments addressable as yet. I think this goes back to the point we were all making earlier about the complexity of our relationships. And, one thing that just struck me was, when Dan was talking about the viewing data that they use, which is an important part of the first party data mix in terms of addressable TV targeting and behavior and finding live TV viewers and other segments. That data is really driven by TV viewing, which is generated by broadcast content, delivering data into operator environments. And so maybe we need to find a way that some of that data and some of the other attributes available in those environments comes back to broadcasters who are creating, new viewing environments and sticky reasons for people to stay within the platforms. And we should be considering how this data plays for everyone in some shape or form.
Yeah, but the challenge might be also because viewing is shifting towards on-demand apps or on-demand OTT services, that operators will lose control over the first-party viewing data if the viewers are going out of the set-top box environment by going on TV apps from third-party services. And don't you think that might be a challenge also to scale the addressable TV solutions if operators can't integrate those OTT services? They're on David or Dan, maybe, if you also have a...
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd answer that from the broadcaster perspective, which is that, the operators can look after their world. Our challenge is to make addressable TV targeting available and be as screen agnostic as possible, right? So, and especially in markets where the distribution is fragmented in a way that it's not as fragmented, for instance, in the UK. And there, I think that I need to make those audience segments available on big screen, little screen, app, tablet, the same common attributes across all screens. And the viewer isn't thinking about these borders between environments that we're discussing here.
I have to say, David, I completely agree with you that the platform that a viewer or a customer, whatever you want to call them, are consuming the content, it doesn't matter to them, right? They want convenience. They want the content available to them immediately, wherever, whenever, however, and the ability to create some form of, as Emmanuel was saying, some form of parity of data to create segments in the same way across different platforms is really, really important, because as soon as you can do that, you can start to monetize new places. I do think there are potential solutions to being able to monetize advertising in app, but again, it's about the trust and the sharing of information to be able to make that work. But arguably, it's in everyone's best interest to start thinking that way. And I think that we have to start looking at that, because scale is so important. And as more viewing, especially on kind of these on in-app platforms like we have on Sky Q, become more and more important, and more viewing goes that way, a decent understanding of how that can work for everybody is really, really important.
Yeah, I mean, it strikes me that the French model, and Manuel, tell me if this is right, it's more of a blank sheet of paper model. You know, if you were designing addressable from the ground up, you know, you make the segments standardized. They come from the operators because they've got the data, and all the broadcasters get them. Seems like a fairly smart way of doing things. And then maybe the broadcasters can add to that. But we're not in that in most markets. In most markets, every broadcaster is trying to figure out what to do. Every operator is trying to figure out what to do. There are some regional similarities. There's lots of regional difference. And as a broadcaster, I can't even make the same segments available one territory to another, because the data providers are not the same. So, no easy answers.
Sorry, I think one of the things we didn't touch on about the differences between countries is actually the cultures within those countries, and people's openness to how they want to consume advertising, whether they are how interested they are in it being personalized to them, how willing they are to share personal information to be able to drive that, actually is a real key issue in leveling up capability across Europe and across the world. Because actually the culture, there's a lot more that joins us together, but there are still cultural differences between the countries which will hold us back, and I think that's always going to be a challenge.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I thought maybe someone would jump on that. All right, well, then we only have 3 minutes left, so I would ask all of you to give maybe a final word. Oliver, if you want to start.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a small sentence to the last discussion. So, because one of the weaknesses that I will also see, especially talking about advertisement on the connected TV, on the big screen, that is the reason the broadcaster itself, or even the operator, is no longer alone on that screen anymore. So therefore, it's not only that we are talking about advertising revenues that are coming from traditional TV going into digital TV. From my point of view, the fragmentation of partners who are also grabbing for that kind of revenue stream becomes broader. Like Samsung TV is now also starting doing advertisement offering on the big screen. And to be honest, Google with Android TV from operators, they're also starting developing something in that region. So therefore, there is also a weakness that we have all have to consider have in mind, that we are no longer alone in that sector, and therefore I think it's more or less it's necessary to combine our forces and work more closer together to become more fast on the path to provide an ecosystem that still helps broadcasters and operators to also provide their service within the next 25 years.
Thank you. Yeah, indeed, collaboration will be a big challenge for the future on addressable TV. Emmanuel, do you have a final word for the audience? You're mute. Sorry.
No, just to say that addressable TV is very complex, but it's so exciting. I think is the biggest innovation that we are now living on the television market. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us to live at that moment. And maybe to conclude, I used to work on TV, on television, digital as well, and we have still, at least in France, silos between digital and TV, and so I really do believe that addressable TV will make all that silos vanished progressively. Not right now, but in few years, and I think that it will make that happen.
Okay, thank you. Albert, maybe final word?
I fully agree with Emmanuel. I think addressable advertising has a great future. Things will become easier. We already see the silos between broadcast advertising and online advertising slowly vanish. Basically because we're shifting towards an all IP world, and that will make things a lot easier. I think in a couple of years we see specifically video on demand or replay or catch-up content to become part of a so-called total video proposition jointly with online advertising, and potentially linear ad replacement will stay a little bit longer as a separate category. But once we're moving to IP there, it will probably also become part of a one big total video proposition.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna have to give back the platform. So we'll see you after the lunch break, and we have many more panels to come. So stay tuned. And thanks to all our speakers for joining us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye bye.